Hello there. If you've ever found yourself just lost in that cycle of worrying about your health, constantly checking symptoms, feeling like your own body is the source of endless fear, I just want you to know you are so not alone. Dealing with health anxiety can be incredibly isolating and, honestly, just plain exhausting. But today, we're going to build a toolkit together, a set of really practical, compassionate strategies to help you find your footing again and reclaim that sense of safety in your own skin. And let's start with this, because it's so important. What you're experiencing, it is not a character flaw. It's not a sign that you're weak. It's actually a natural protective instinct. It's your body's built-in alarm system that's just become a little too sensitive. It's really just your system asking for reassurance and a different kind of care. And that is exactly what we're here to learn how to do. All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to move through 6 key areas to build out this personal toolkit. First up, we need to understand what's actually happening inside your body, that internal alarm system. Then, we'll get into how to work with those anxious thoughts. We'll also practice returning to the safety of the present moment and gently, very gently, learn to face our fears. And this is huge. We'll explore how to lead with self-kindness. And finally, we'll talk about how to build a life that's guided by what you value, not by your anxiety. So our first stop is all about understanding the mechanics of what you're feeling. What's the difference between a real physical threat and just the body's stress response? Because knowledge really is power here. When you understand why your body's doing what it's doing, you can actually start to change your relationship with it. Okay, let's nail down this distinction right away, because it's a game changer. On one hand, you have disease. This means there's actual structural damage in the body, an infection, an injury, something like that. But on the other hand, we have dis-ease. See the difference? This isn't damage. It's a temporary imbalance in your body's stress and tension systems. That racing heart, the tingling in your fingers, that lump in your throat, so often these are just the harmless side effects of adrenaline, fatigue, or even just paying super close attention to your body. They're signals of stress, not sickness. I love this analogy. Think of your internal alarm system like a really sensitive smoke detector. Its job is to keep you safe, which is great. But, sometimes it just goes off because of a little steam from the shower, not because the house is actually on fire. Those intense physical feelings, a lot of the time, they're just the steam of everyday stress, not the fire of a terrible illness. So here is your very first practical tool. This is a mantra you can use anytime a physical symptom grabs your attention. Just pause for a second, take a breath, and gently say to yourself, this is dis-ease, not disease. My body is stressed, not broken. Just repeating this helps retrain your nervous system to understand that these feelings are just information, not an immediate code red emergency. Health anxiety loves to run in this really powerful repeating loop. Does this sound familiar? It starts with a trigger, some normal body sensation, like a flutter in your chest. That immediately triggers a catastrophic thought. Oh my God, I'm having a heart attack. That thought creates this surge of intense fear and panic. Well, guess what fear does? It pumps adrenaline into your system, which makes your heart beat even faster, which intensifies the very feeling you were worried about. So what do? You start checking your pulse or frantically Googling symptoms. You might get a tiny moment of relief, but because that root fear was never really dealt with, the cycle just comes back even stronger next time. Recognizing your own pattern here is the key to changing it. So hold on to this idea, right? Awareness is what breaks the cycle. The second you can actually observe this process happening, instead of just getting swept away by it, you create a little bit of space. And in that space, you have a choice. You can actually step out of that automatic reaction. Okay, so we've seen how the body's alarm system gets stuck in that loop. Now let's talk about the fuel for that loop, our thoughts. We're going to dig into 2 really powerful techniques for changing your relationship with the anxious thoughts that keep that whole cycle spinning. The first technique is called cognitive reframing, and I like to think of this as becoming a thought scientist, not a fortune teller. So when a scary thought like, this headache has to be a brain tumor, pops up, you get to investigate. First, you ask for the evidence for that fear. What actual facts support it? Then, and this is crucial, you ask for the evidence against it. Maybe you've had clear medical tests, or maybe you just know you're dehydrated, or you've been staring at a computer all day. And finally, you create a balanced, more realistic thought. Something like, it's much more likely I'm just tense and dehydrated. You're basically cleaning off the fogged-up window of your perception. And a simple little phrase to keep in your back pocket is this one. It's possible, but not probable. This is great because it acknowledges the fear. Sure, anything is technically possible, but it grounds you back in reality. Is it probable? Most of the time, the evidence says no. This little phrase can stop a catastrophic thought right in its tracks. Okay, now for our second technique, which is a bit different. It's called cognitive diffusion. So instead of arguing with the thought, like we just did, with diffusion, you just unhook from it. You learn to see your thoughts as just, well, thoughts. They're just little mental events, not objective truths. You don't have to fight them or even believe them. You can just notice them passing by.
This metaphor is just so powerful. You are the vast, stable, unchanging sky, and your thoughts, your emotions, your worries, they're just the weather, clouds passing through. Yeah, sometimes they're dark and stormy, and sometimes they're light and fluffy, but they are always temporary, and they are not you. You, the sky. You remain whole and untouched. This perspective, it creates so much freedom.
So we've looked at the body and the mind. Now let's talk about time. See, anxiety almost always lives in the future, in that land of what-ifs. So the most powerful antidote we have is to bring our attention right back to the safety and the reality of the present moment. Let's look at some tools to help you anchor yourself right here, right now. And this is a practice you can do anytime, anywhere. You just sit and feel the physical sensation of your breath. Now, your mind is going to wander. That's just what minds do. When a worry about your health pops up, you don't fight it. You just gently label it, thinking, and then you guide your focus right back to your very next breath. And to make that anchor even stronger, start to notice the world around you. The color of the wall, the sound of traffic outside, the feeling of your feet on the floor. This literally pulls you out of the future and back into the physical reality of the present, where you are safe.
Okay, so when your body is really in the grip of fear, that whole fight-or-flight response, these techniques are like your emergency reset buttons. First, you've got 4-7-8 breathing. This is actually scientifically proven to kickstart your body's relaxation response. Then, there's progressive muscle relaxation, where you tense up and then fully release your muscles one by one, to teach your body the difference between tension and calm. And finally, the 5-4-3-2-1 senses game. This is a brilliant way to force your brain to focus on your immediate environment instead of on those internal fears. These are super practical, in-the-moment tools to calm your nervous system right down.
And just remember this, your breath is always with you. It's a reliable, physical anchor you can come back to anytime you feel lost in a storm of anxiety. By focusing on it, you're giving your body permission to rest. All right, this next part of our toolkit, it definitely requires some courage. So let's approach it with a lot of gentleness. The main things that keep health anxiety going are avoidance and constantly seeking reassurance. So to heal, we have to slowly and carefully teach our brain that the things we fear, like uncertainty or weird physical sensations, are actually safe. We have to learn that discomfort is not the same thing as danger. Now, exposure and response prevention, or ERP, sounds intimidating, but it's all done in small, manageable steps. You create a ladder of your fears, from easiest to hardest. Maybe a 1 on your list is just reading about some mild symptoms, while a 10 is waiting an extra day to call the doctor. You always start at the bottom. So let's say you choose the 1, reading about symptoms. You face that small fear, and this is the most important part. You prevent your usual safety response. You don't Google anything afterwards. You don't check your pulse. You just sit with that uncomfortable feeling until it naturally starts to come down on its own. Every time you do this, you send a powerful message to your brain. See? We were uncomfortable, but we were totally safe. This is a special kind of exposure that's focused on those internal body sensations. So if you're afraid of a racing heart, you might jog in place for 30 seconds just to intentionally create that feeling. But instead of panicking, you practice observing it with some mindful curiosity. You describe it neutrally, like a scientist. My heart is beating faster. My face feels warm. You just stay with it until it passes, and you learn through direct experience that these sensations are just normal physiological responses, not signs of impending doom. This right here is the core belief we're trying to build with these practices, and it is a profound truth. You can feel fear and stay safe. You can feel intense, terrifying fear. Your heart can be pounding. You can feel dizzy, and you can still be completely, fundamentally safe. This affirmation is here to support you as you do this courageous work.
Okay, let's shift our focus now to the tools of the heart. So often when we feel anxious, we pile a thick layer of self-criticism right on top of it, don't we? I should be stronger, or why can't I just stop worrying? But self-compassion is not an indulgence. It is a vital, non-negotiable part of healing. It's actually what gives us the strength to do the brave work we just talked about.
This is such a beautiful, simple practice you can do right in the middle of a panic attack or just a moment of worry.
First, the simple act of placing a hand over your heart actually releases soothing hormones in your body. Then, you mindfully acknowledge what's happening without judging it. This is fear. Next, you connect to your common humanity, just remembering that you are not alone in this feeling. And finally, you offer yourself a gentle wish. You respond to your fear the way you would to a scared child, with warmth and kindness, not with anger.
And remember this, fear wants us to tense up, to fight back, to criticize ourselves. Kindness lets us soften, it lets us soothe, and it creates the internal safety that fear needs to dissolve, because kindness is stronger than fear.
We can actually practice and build up this feeling of kindness through something called loving kindness meditation, or Metta. It's like going to the gym for your heart. It's a way of intentionally generating feelings of warmth and goodwill, starting with ourselves, which directly pushes back against that old habit of self-criticism. The practice itself is simple. Just find a comfortable position, maybe place a hand on your heart again. We start by offering a simple, heartfelt wish for ourselves, gently repeating the phrase and letting that intention really settle in. May I be peaceful. Then, we extend that wish specifically to the sources of our distress. We send a message of ease to our body and to our mind, just allowing that warmth to spread. May my body and mind be at ease. And finally, we offer a wish that gets right to the core of health anxiety, a wish for trust. Trust in yourself, trust in your body's resilience, and trust in the care you receive from others. May I trust the care I receive. And this brings us to our final and maybe the most transformative part of the whole toolkit. You see, the ultimate goal isn't just to get rid of anxiety. The goal is to build a life that is so rich, so meaningful, and so full that anxiety just doesn't get to be the star of the show anymore. It's all about shifting their focus from managing fear to pursuing what truly matters to you. There's a great metaphor for this. Think of your life as a bus. You are the driver, and you have a destination. Your values, what's important to you. Now, anxiety can be a passenger on that bus, and it can be a really loud, obnoxious passenger, sitting right behind you, yelling about all the terrible things that could happen up ahead. The trap is thinking you have to kick that passenger off the bus before you can start driving. But acceptance means you just let the passenger be there. You can hear it, you acknowledge it, but it does not get to touch the steering wheel. You keep driving toward what matters.
So how do you drive the bus? You use your values as your compass. I'd invite you to take a moment, maybe after this, to really identify what truly matters to you deep down. Is it connection with your family, creativity, learning, kindness? Then each day, you just ask yourself, what is one small thing I can do today to live that value? And then you just do it, even if you feel anxious while you're doing it. You prove to yourself over and over that your life is bigger than your anxiety.
This becomes your guidepost. Whenever you feel yourself getting pulled back into that spiral of trying to control your health, you can pause, take a breath, and remember your true priority. I choose meaning over control.
And one of the most powerful ways to cultivate meaning is through gratitude. See, health anxiety trains your brain to be a detective for danger. It's constantly scanning for what's wrong. Gratitude is the perfect antidote. It's the active practice of training your brain to notice what's right, what's working, and what is already safe and good in your life and in your body. It's really true. It is very, very difficult for fear and gratitude to occupy the same space in your mind at the same time. By intentionally looking for things to be grateful for, maybe by writing down 3 things your body did right today, you actively weaken the neural pathways of fear, and you strengthen the pathways of safety and joy. So, we have covered a lot of ground today. And these aren't just a bunch of separate tricks. They are all tools that work together, supporting and reinforcing each other to create this comprehensive circle of healing.
So let's just bring it all together. We use tools from cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, to investigate and reframe those catastrophic thoughts. We use mindfulness to anchor ourselves in the present moment when our minds try to race into the future. We use ideas from acceptance and commitment therapy, or ACT, to choose our values and live a meaningful life, even if anxiety is along for the ride. And we wrap all of this in a foundation of self-compassion, which softens our fear, and gratitude, which restores our joy. See how they all work together? They help your mind learn how to be calm and your body relearn what it feels like to be safe.
So let's close with this reflection. By meeting each fear, not with more fear, but with awareness, with kindness, and with courage, you are actively teaching your nervous system a brand new language, the language of safety. Now, this is a journey, and it's going to take practice. But may every single breath you take from this moment on be a gentle reminder that you are alive, you are learning, and that you are safe enough right here, right now.